If exercise isn't inspiring and fun and something you genuinely look forward to, maybe it's time to stop exercising. But we can't ignore the mountains of evidence that show that exercise is one of the best things you can possibly do for your current and future body. So, what should you do instead? You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 186, Stop Exercising, Part 1. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, my friend, and happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. How's the monster under your bed? Have you thought of ways to recognize your resistance monsters and look them in their yellow eyes? What about ways to befriend them and harness their powers to move you toward the breakthrough that you're looking to create for yourself? Today, we're going to talk about why I want you to stop exercising. If this is your first episode with me, then welcome. If this isn't your first episode of mine that you've listened to, also welcome, and I love you. But you also know by now that I'm not going to tell you to sit around on the couch instead of exercising. Movement nourishes every cell of our body. When we don't move, our bodies start deteriorating the way astronauts' bodies do in space. We can start developing those negative health effects of sedentariness, even if we're someone who exercises, if we still sit around for the rest of the day. Movement is good for all of our cells, not just our muscles or lungs or bones. Our bodies were designed to move. When we don't move through all of our ranges of motion, we start to lose the ability to get into those positions. And that limits our ability to interact with our environment and to be a physical force. Movement is so good for your body. And it doesn't have to be exercise. It can be, but it also includes everything else that requires you to move your body in space. Movement keeps your body resilient. It prevents the all too common loss of resilience as we get older. So think of movement as essential and non-negotiable. And remember that movement is not just exercise. Do you remember back in episode 57 that we learned from biomechanist Katie Bowman that movement is like nourishment and exercise is just a dietary supplement? Not the most important part of the overall nourishment of our bodies. Most of us do need to supplement our daily movements with exercise. If you have no trouble exercising and seeing exercise on your to-do list fires you up, that's awesome. Keep doing whatever you've been doing. It's working for you. You'll thank yourself 20 and 40 years from now when you've still got mobility and strength to have the experiences that you want to have. If exercise is a little bit harder for you to find time for or find motivation to do, consider whether quitting exercise might be for you. Here's what I mean. So often, exercise is on our to-do list along with scrubbing the toilet or picking up dog poop in the yard. We know that we, quote, should do it, and we feel bad if we don't because we intellectually know that our future selves will be grateful if we do. We believe the gymongous mountains of evidence that show that exercise improves every aspect of our health. So when we don't do it, we feel like a bad person, irresponsible, undeserving of health. At times, we muster up enough guilt to motivate us to exercise, and we do so with all of the enthusiasm of picking up dog poop. We survive our uninspired prescribed time period of drudgery, and then we check it off our list. Well, guess I wasn't a complete failure today. Check. Exercise is usually seen as a burden, like going to the dentist or having to get your tires rotated. And that burden of drudgery may be the very thing that's holding you back from getting the results that you want out of exercise. Think of someone you think of as in impressive physical condition. It could be someone you know or a sports star of some kind. Abby Wambach, Gwen Jorgensen, Karen Davidsdottir, Katie Ledecky, Lindsey Vonn, whoever. Does that person waste their time exercising? Do they put exercise on their to-do list? Do they go to exercise camp? No. Why not? Because there's a difference between exercising and meaning business. People who mean business train. Training is different. Training is focused on achieving specific results. Training cuts out all the non-specific nonsense and focuses on efficiently and effectively producing a specific outcome. The results of training are evaluated to see if progress is being made. We've talked before about how Aristotle would explain that people who flourish have telos or targets. We are inherently teleological. Why else would we try to get a ball in a hoop or a goal or a hole? What we do is so much more interesting and enjoyable and motivating when we have a target to aim at and to measure our progress by. We've talked about Harvard researcher Teresa Amabile before. She researches motivation and has surveyed hundreds of top executives to see what they think motivates people. 95% of them get the question wrong. What motivates people is small wins. It's progress. Even very small progress is hugely motivating. People feel best about themselves when they're making a little bit of progress on something that matters to them. Most managers don't take this into consideration when attempting to motivate their employees, which is sad. And most people don't take this into consideration when trying to motivate themselves to exercise, which is even more sad. They think they need to exercise more and that they're failing at life, but what they really need is a clear target and a specific plan to get closer to it little by little. Hey there, I wanted to quickly interrupt and let you know that it's so much less of a struggle to consistently dominate your health choices when the thoughts you think naturally nudge you toward what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking to more consistently rock your healthy behaviors, I have a completely free 18-minute mini course for smart women like you who know that sometimes a quick mind flip can go a long way. Click the link in the show notes or go to healthcourage.ck/page/mini for this free mini course on 6 thoughts people who consistently rock their health choices think, and start putting one of them to good use inside your head today. Which will probably require less time and effort and be a lot more fun. Going through the uninspiring motions can actually prevent you from getting the outcome you're hoping to get from your workouts. Having a plan that will get you to your goal and measuring your tiny progress is hugely satisfying. According to Dr. Phil Maffetone, the most important piece of workout equipment is your workout diary. It doesn't have to be any specific way, but just recording your ability and watching your progress is one of the most important things you can do. Because it's training rather than exercising. It helps you get closer to your goal and celebrate your progress along the way. What are your training goals? Maybe formerly known as your exercise goals? If you know right off the bat, that's super awesome. If you need to take a few minutes, pause and think about it. What's important to you? What would make you feel like a badass? Do that. If you've taken my free 16-minute mini course on thoughts that people who consistently rock their health choices think, then you've already learned that Dr. Michelle Seeger, the world's leading researcher in healthy behavior motivation, did a study where she asked a group of people their reasons for exercising, and then she followed their exercise habits for a whole year. 75% of the people said they exercise for a future reason. They know it's good for them long term. They're trying to improve their health or lose weight or something else in the distant future. The other 25% of them said they exercise because it makes them feel good today. It makes them feel more grounded or energetic right now. Which group exercised more? The smaller group. The 25% of people who exercise for the concrete benefit they get today exercised 32% more than the bigger group of people trying to abstractly benefit their future selves. Doing something that's good for your future self isn't wrong. It's a fantastic thing to do. It's a good reason to do something, but it's not an effective reason to do something in terms of motivation strategy. So if you're having a hard time getting yourself to work out for long-term benefits, Consider flipping from a solely future-focused mindset to an immediate gratification mindset. The effects of training can make you feel good today while also moving you closer to your future goal. Another immediate benefit of training is that it might actually take less time. We usually think of exercising for a prescribed period of time and that more is always better. But if you're training with focus and intensity for a specific result, you might be able to complete the training tasks in less time than just, quote, exercising. Do you remember Joe Manganiello from Magic Mike? We talked about him a few weeks ago. He said, quote, "Keep it simple. I committed to a workout program and there's a reason why they call it a program. It's not a workout feeling or a workout whim." He said the word exercise here, so I'm changing it to training. Training should be fun. If it's a chore, something isn't right. Your workouts may be too long or too intense, or you may not have found the right training partner. If it isn't fun, look for the reason and correct it. Having fun is a great benefit of training, especially when other things are tough, when work isn't going great or you have personal stress or it's the dead of winter, end quote. I love the term training rather than exercise because it connotes intensity, purposefulness, and structure. It's a program, but I totally agree that training should be fun, not a whim or an impulse, but it can and should give you some joy. If it doesn't yet, that's not because there's something wrong with you. Your training program just needs some tweaking. What is it about your exercise that makes it feel like drudgery? Why don't you do it? What do you do consistently? Why? Is there something from that you could use to inform your new training program? Dr. Phil Maffetone, a different Dr. Phil, says proper training has two primary components. One is that it's done in a balanced way. The other primary concern is that it's fun, end quote. I do think your training should be hard and that you should expect that you won't feel like doing it most of the time and you'll need to do it anyway. But when it gives you a sense of eudaimonic joy, you become capable of so much more than you would have thought possible, and you'll want to come back for more. My main goal with your physical training, if I'm allowed to impose my goal on you, is that you stop exercising to try and change your body appearance and train to discover how much power you have inside of you. You can use your already amazing body to generate force and alter your environment. You can make things happen. You can play to win. You can and should train for both cardio endurance and strength. They're both important for your longevity and overall health, although I'm kind of biased toward one. And you do get a lot of cardio benefits from strength training, but not so much the other way around. Like me, you might be more inclined to like one more than the other, but you can still find inspiring goals and fun ways to accomplish them. Obviously, whether you're running or rowing or cycling or swimming, you can train for distance or speed. When lifting, you can train for weight lifted or number of reps. You can also train for correct form or accuracy or agility or flexibility or balance. Get creative, but remember that we're teleological. When we have something exact to aim for, shooting for it gets a lot easier. Exercising can be a lot like shooting in the dark. You don't even know what the target is. You don't know which direction it is. You certainly don't know how far away it is. And then you're made to feel like a failure because you showed up 30 minutes a day, 4 times a week and didn't hit the mark. How could you? You didn't even know what it was or where it was or how far away it was. If you're currently exercising and whatever program you're following or class you're attending doesn't specifically tell you what outcome you're attempting to get, you should seriously consider whether it's worth your precious time and energy. You have important things to do and don't have time for nonsense. One of my favorite articles about fitness was written by Greg Glassman back in October of 2002. At that time, I had been married for 3 months and was in my second year of pharmacy school. I also had never heard of this article until just a few years ago, much, much later. In it, he says that promoting a fitness program without clearly defining what it is that the program delivers combines elements of fraud and farce. So good, right? So many programs and classes are heavily promoted and hyped up, but they don't say what exactly the outcome will be. Or the promised outcome is some fuzzy version of being healthier in the future, or worse, solely changing the appearance of your body. No, you want to decide on purpose what's important for you to be able to do with your body and then train to accomplish that. And it doesn't have to be weighty or serious. If you aim for a target, make a plan, and miss the target, you just try again, and you might get a little closer next time. Celebrate your progress. It should be fun, remember? And it should fit within the constraints of your reality. You could become the next American Ninja Warrior if you wanted to. I believe in you. But if you don't particularly want to devote 9 hours a day to training, that's okay. It's not for you. So what is for you? This is where it gets fun, because you can do some pretty impressive things in just 3 hours a week, maybe even less. Whatever your limits are, you can make something work. If you're not sure what to start working on first, think about what sounds fun and consider what Greg Glassman of CrossFit considers the 10 hallmarks of fitness. They are cardiovascular respiratory endurance, stamina, strength, flexibility, power, speed, coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy. He says you are as fit as you are competent in each of those 10 skills, and I tend to agree with him. A training routine develops fitness to the extent that it improves your skills in those 10 areas. He also points out that improvements in endurance, stamina, strength, and flexibility come through training. But improvements in coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy come from practice. Practice is activity that improves performance through changes in the nervous system, but training is activity that improves performance through a measurable change in the body. Power and speed come from both a combination of training and practice. So, have I convinced you to train instead of exercise yet? Training is scheduled and premeditated. It's very ritualistic and repetitive in a good way. It's a path that takes you somewhere. It's also about more than just moving. Moving is still good. Phil Maffetone defines training as an equation. Training equals workout plus rest. So training is the workout plus the recovery. That's rest and sleep and maybe massage or stretching or whatever, plus fuel. You have to get adequate nutrition to be able to transform the power capacity of your body. Again, we're not talking about starving yourself to change the appearance of your body, but optimally fueling your training. You also can't eat garbage or overeat and expect to perform at a high level. I think they tie together in a much healthier way than just focusing on the appearance of your body. Work hard, recover hard, eat with deliberate intention to give your body the building blocks it needs to do the amazing things you want it to do. If there are active things you love to do that you're not sure count as, quote, training, I'm not saying you need to toss them out. They might fit into your overall training scheme. I go to a class every Wednesday morning, and this is the actual description on the Vasa website. Studio Red is an exclusive group training experience where you'll sweat more, burn more, and shatter your personal best, end quote. That definitely does not clearly define what result it delivers, but I know what I get out of it, which is some aerobic conditioning, stamina work, and variety, so that's where it fits in my training plan. I know it won't make me look or be stronger. That's not what it's for, clearly, because what you do changes every time. And I don't even know what they were thinking when they said you'd shatter your personal best, because you don't keep track of anything. There is no personal best element at all. But I can still use it as part of my personal plan that I am in control of. You might also have activities that you enjoy doing for the sake of doing them. Striving for targets is awesome, and you can do it with so many little things, like running one more lamppost down the street than the last time you jogged, or doing 31 sit-ups instead of 30, whatever. But for some reason, I always remember hearing this guy being interviewed, and I don't even remember who he was. In my mind, he was a physician, but who knows? He was talking about how he has surfed his whole life and loved it, and he's super into using tech to monitor biomarkers and training and everything, and he heard about this device you could use to improve your surfing skills. So he immediately got it and started using it. And it would give him a score every time he surfed. And he said he started surfing for the score, which is the point of the thing. That's how it helps you improve. But he said it sucked all of the fun out of it. He used to surf for the joy and exhilaration of being in the moment. and it turned into a chore. And he was disappointed in himself if he didn't get a high score rather than delighted and energized no matter what, the way he used to be. So he threw it away, and I think that was the right thing to do. So have a target and train to improve, but pay attention to whether your metrics make it more fun or less fun to train. I can't imagine anyone not enjoying seeing the number of pounds they can lift go up, and I do think you need to train for some cardio endurance benchmarks. But I could see trying to get a certain score on a ski run being a bummer, or timing yourself on a beautiful hike that you want to just enjoy along the way. So remember the difference between training and movement. Be sure to have times of just movement that you do just for the joy of it, especially if you tend toward feeling irritated by being scored. In 1912, French sociologist Émile Durkheim coined the term collective effervescence to describe the euphoric part of being part of something bigger than yourself when moving together with a group of people. Isn't that a great term? Seek out some collective effervescence. It's part of why fitness friendships and sports teams feel like family. We feel like we can trust and belong with people that we move with. We naturally rally around one another and cheer each other on. There's neuroscience behind it. Pretty cool. Training is a mindset. It's about being on a path that will take you to a specific destination. It doesn't matter how far down the path you start. There are mile markers all along the way, and you better be celebrating every time you do what you said you would do and get closer to those signposts. If you feel like it would help you to stop going through the motions of endless drudgery of exercise and start deliberately training for a result, then break up with exercise today. I listened to this short story / mini audiobook on Audible the other day when I was painting called The Breakup Artist. She would reverse Cyrano de Bergerac people, telling them what to say to end their relationship. It was stuff like, "Dear Jacoby, the vision that a woman has for her life is like a Tiffany's necklace, precious, iconic, and elegantly crafted. Rachel is stylish and ambitious, and you're in a garage band. She is Tiffany's, and you are Zales. Move over, Mall Diamond. This relationship is canceled. Signed, The Breakup Artist." Okay, here's my version. "Dear Exercise, you've been on my to-do list for too many years. You are an uninspiring drag on my creative life force. I'm over being told to follow programs that combine elements of fraud and farce. I believe there's more to my future than either succumbing to the drudgery of exercise or feeling guilty and irresponsible. I'm ready to finally create an inspiring result. This relationship is canceled." What do you think? Pretty dorky, but no surprise there. Take it or leave it, but I do encourage you to think about how you label and think about things. I love the training mindset so much more than the exercise mindset. Next week, we're going to talk about some specific elements of your training program. I'm not an exercise professional or a certified trainer or anything, so keep that in mind. But as you design your own workouts or select a pre-made program, there are things that you want to keep in mind so that you can actually advance toward the outcome that you're trying to achieve. Until then, kick exercise to the curb, Jerry Springer style, and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a